You get the raise. For maybe a day, you feel it, that little lift in your chest when the number on your paycheck goes up. Then, without you deciding anything, it's gone. Not stolen, not blown on one dumb splurge, just quietly absorbed into a bigger apartment, a nicer phone plan, dinners that used to be special occasion and are now just Tuesday. There's a gremlin standing exactly where that money lands, arms stretched wide, ready to catch every dollar the second it becomes spendable to you. In a moment, you'll get the actual move that beats him to it, a way to send part of that raise straight over his head and into savings, before your brain ever gets the chance to treat it as available. And by the end, you'll hear the sharper trick he plays, the one that doesn't just take your money, it erases the memory that you were ever perfectly content without it. So watch the clock start the second that raise actually hits your account. 3 weeks. That's roughly how long it takes for a raise to disappear. Not stolen, not spent recklessly in one dumb night, just quietly absorbed. The new apartment with the extra room, the upgraded phone plan, the restaurant that used to be for special occasions, becoming Tuesday. You didn't decide to spend the raise. It just found somewhere to go, like water finding a crack in the floor. There's a name for the gremlin doing this, and he's been studied since the 1970s. Psychologists call the mechanism hedonic adaptation, your brain's tendency to reset its baseline for what counts as normal every time your circumstances improve. The extra income doesn't feel like a gain for long. Within weeks, it becomes the floor. And once something is the floor, losing it feels like a cut, even though you're standing exactly where you started. Here's the part that should feel like relief, not shame. This isn't a willpower failure. Hedonic adaptation is one of the most consistently replicated findings in well-being research. Lottery winners report happiness spikes that fade back to baseline within a year. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. Chase comfort, then normalize it fast so it can go chase the next bit of comfort. The gremlin isn't sabotaging you. He's just very good at his one job. The trap springs specifically at the moment of increase. A raise, a bonus, a side gig payout. That's the window where your reference point is still soft, still movable. Wait too long to decide where that money goes, and your brain will decide for you, quietly, by upgrading something you never consciously chose to upgrade. Ever gotten a raise, and months later, genuinely struggled to name where it went? That's not a memory problem. That's the reset already complete. So what actually interrupts the reset? Not a budget spreadsheet. The gremlin laughs at spreadsheets made after the fact. The real countermove is a pre-commitment made before the money ever touches your regular account. Some people call it paying yourself first, but the mechanism underneath matters more than the label. You're intercepting the cash before your brain gets a chance to experience it as available, because availability is exactly what triggers the reset. Here's the specific version that works. The moment you know a raise is coming, set up an automatic transfer for a fixed chunk of the increase. Not what's left over, but off the top, rooted somewhere slightly inconvenient to touch. Inconvenience is the point. Your brain adapts to what it can easily access. Make part of the raise structurally invisible, and it never enters the pool your reference point gets calculated from. Now, be honest with the rest, because this isn't about denying yourself every upgrade forever. Let some of the raise your life. The gremlin doesn't win by you spending more. He wins by you spending more without noticing, without choosing, without any memory of the decision. The countermove isn't austerity. It's making the spending conscious instead of automatic, so the adaptation happens to money you actually decided to enjoy. Which raises a real question worth sitting with. Think back to your last raise. Can you actually name right now the 3 things it went toward? If you can't, that's not a character flaw. That's hedonic adaptation working exactly as documented. Try answering that in the comments. You might be surprised how many people genuinely can't reconstruct where a 5 or 10% bump in income actually landed. Here's the sharper twist most people never hear. Adaptation doesn't just erase gains, it also erases the memory that you were ever satisfied at the lower baseline. Ask your past self, right before the raise, if they'd have been happy with what you have now. They almost certainly would have. Your current self doesn't believe that anymore. That gap between past contentment and present dissatisfaction isn't information about your life getting worse. It's the gremlin's fingerprint. So the next time a raise lands or a bonus hits, treat the first week as the only window that matters. Move the piece you want protected before your baseline has time to swallow it. Let the rest genuinely upgrade something you chose on purpose. The mechanism resets your comfort automatically, but the moment of decision is still yours for about 3 weeks. What are you going to do with yours this time?